What's going on, everybody? We got NBA playoffs going on. There's a lot of good series and one not so good series, and a lot of people that might be sitting, might not. We'll find out. Let's get right into it. What is going on, spectators? Welcome back to another episode. Today, I am joined with Brooklyn, as always, and we have two special guests, Nico and Dharnell. What's going on, boys? How are we doing today? We got four of us in the building.
Let's go. Ready to get it popping. Let's go.
Ready to get it popping. So today, we're going to be talking about the NBA playoffs. I know MLB is going on. We got three Yankee fans in the building. First place Yankees, mind you. Let's just leave it at that. Sorry about that, big fella, Nico. But
yeah, whatever, dog.
We in first. So it's the NBA playoffs. This is one of the best times of the year, right? Because the playoffs are usually a great time, and it usually takes until the second round to get it really fun. Because usually these first round matchups aren't particularly exciting, but we do have some good series that have kind of snuck up on us. And I kind of want to talk about those first before we talk about some of the not so close series. And let's just get right into the one that's the most recent in our memory, the game from last night. Pelicans, Phoenix, the number one overall seed, Phoenix Suns. They lose Devin Booker. He's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks, I think they said. So they're going to have to overcome that. They've missed him earlier in the year, so it's not something fully foreign to them. But after last night, and the Jose Alvarado show, the Pelicans are tied 2-2 with the Suns. And how are we feeling about this series going into Game 5?
That boy Brandon Ingram is solidifying his stardom in the NBA.
Facts.
He's coming out and making a name for him, going up against the top dog in the NBA on the Western Conference. Man, that boy BI is a problem. And then shout out to the Pelicans for going and getting that boy Grand Theft Alvarado, the sloppiest, greasiest player in the NBA, bro.
Yeah,
that boy comes out of nowhere, hit you with the RKO like Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Like
facts,
that boy is a problem.
Shout out New York, yeah, the boy from Queens.
Yeah.
And not only is he from Queens, but he's also a Puerto Rican. So he is literally just me living my NBA dream. He is actually just me. So a big shout out to the only Boricua in the NBA. And he's playing exactly like a Puerto Rican would play in the NBA. It is so stereotypical, it hurts.
It's so perfect, though.
It's perfect.
I think with this series, though, we see, the big shift in, what our friend of the podcast, Rojo, the artist, said, no bookie, no cookie. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no Devin Booker, and now we've seen a big jump that honestly, 1-8, one seed playing an 8 seed. You wouldn't honestly see a 2-2 going into Game 5. But again, you lose your star player and Devin Booker, and now you have to have guys kind of step up. And like you guys said, bro, Brandon Ingram is turning into a superstar. Like he's kind of, taking on this role. And again, they need to do this. They need to push right now. Devin Booker's hurt. This is their time to go and take it all. So again, they're going to kind of, keep their foot on their throats and kind of keep going. So it's going to be interesting. Game 5 will be very good. I mean, I think whoever takes Game 5, in my opinion, I think is going to take the series. Because, that momentum is just going to be really hard to beat. And I feel like it'll be a very big deteriorating thing. Like, if Phoenix loses again, it's going to be kind of tough.
It's going to be real spicy if New Orleans wins this next game and goes up 3-2. Yeah, real spicy.
The Pels, I mean, they're doing their thing right now. And really, a guy who I'm not even going to bring up Brandon Ingram. Let's talk about Jonas Valanciunas last night, because this man, I'm not gonna lie, he did not have his best outing in Game 3. I think he shot maybe 5 shots, had 6 points. And after the game last night, he was like, "Look, I wasn't happy about my performance." And what did he do? Comes out in Game 4, gives you a playoff career high, 26, with about 15 boards, and outplayed the number 1 overall pick in DeAndre Ayton. Like, let's keep that in mind. Ayton is getting the work by this guy right now. And if Jonas can continue to play well, like you said, Nico, I mean, hey, who knows what could happen, because without Book, Phoenix is on the ropes right now. I still have Phoenix winning this series in 7. But it's gonna be a dogfight. It's going 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And game 7 in Phoenix, anything can happen. I still like Phoenix to win that, but it's definitely gonna go. This series is going long for sure.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
crazy
Like you
part
said.
too, I'll be quick, Nico. Just having a
you're good.
team like the Pelicans who have two bona fide scorers who just get a bucket. CJ, we've known gets a bucket for a while, and we've seen Brandon Ingram have flashes of it, right? But like in the series, he has just been a bucket, and he's averaging 30. And so to have those two, and then the rest of your roster just be scrappy and just like playing hard. It's like what we talked about. I don't know if it was last week or a couple weeks ago. Playoff basketball is different. Defense in the playoffs is different. And so all of a sudden, the Pelicans, who are like a middling team defensively, all these guys are just stepping up intensity now because these are the games that matter. And all of a sudden, they're an elite defending team. So,
Yeah, no, I think one thing that we haven't really talked about too, which really clicked very well for that Pelicans team last night, was the rebounds. 19 offensive boards. I mean, and you're getting a lot of those boards off of your bench. You know, Larry Nance, Trae Murphy with a few defensive and offensive boards. I mean, Larry Nance got 4 offensive boards. You're just getting a lot of second chance opportunities in
Man,
playoff basketball, which you shouldn't be given no opportunity, right? Any opportunity
Va-
is a mistake. So
Valanciunas
that.
gave you 15 boards last night. That's
Mhm.
huge.
Huge, 5 of
15.
which were offensive.
he's
You know what I mean?
he's
They
averaging
had
6.5 offensive boards this series. Averaging.
19 second
Crazy.
chance opportunities, in which I'm sure of which the Pelicans capitalized on. Like that's just a big factor in it. And again, Game 5 is going to be a big game for both teams, in my opinion.
If the
And
Pelicans
the
win
big,
Game 5, are we worried about the Suns? Like actually worried? It's 2-2.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
worried yet.
absolutely.
If they win Game 5, are we worried?
To
Momentum's hard to beat.
me, the only reason I'm gonna say I'm not worried is because during the regular season, the Suns actually had to play without Book, and
Yeah.
in those games, I want to say they went 6 and so about 7 games or no 8 games without Book. They went 6-2. So they've
Hey, they're
proven they
1-1
can
right
win.
now, though.
They can win games without him. And if I got to put my money on it, I believe Monty Williams and Chris Paul are going to have those guys right. Look, the Suns are so deep. They're one of the deepest teams in the league, and they didn't win 60 plus games, but just with D Book and Chris Paul. He's a catalyst, no doubt, but that team is deep, and I think they'll be able to pull this if they win game. Look, as long as they can send it back to Phoenix for a game 7
They're fine.
on
Yeah.
their floor, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they'll be fine. They'll be fine. I think Phoenix still pulls this series out.
Yeah, it wouldn't be no surprise if they did. But Game 6 is going to be a dog fight going back to New Orleans. That it's
Going
not going to
back,
be.
right? Game 6 is going to
Yeah.
be a fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because to me, like
Given that they end up winning this next game.
right. So like I got Phoenix winning game 5. Right. That'll be in Phoenix.
Yep.
And then, like I said, I think the Pels go home, win game 6, and then it sets you up for that game 7 in Phoenix. Chris Paul, ball in his hands, you know what I'm saying, for all the marbles. I'm rolling with the Hall of Famer. I'm rolling with CP3.
As you should. As you
And,
should.
and one dude that surprised me this series, outside of the obvious ones with Ingram McCollum and Valanciunas, Larry Nance Jr. showed up game 1, 14, game 2, 13, and then a solid 6 coming out in game 4. Not the best in game 3. But having that extra little piece on the team, giving you that extra firepower, that's going to go a long way for this Pelican team because they need every little bit of it.
They need everything.
If they even want a chance.
They need everything they can get. When you don't have your superstar and Zion out there,
Yeah.
and you got your second option BI, right? Who's now put into the number 1 role. That kind of it puts an onus on the rest of the roster, and guys are like, okay, we really got to step up. right? Because BI is doing this thing, those other dudes kind of get a little bit of confidence in them, to be able to do that. Yeah, Lance has been playing well, like you said, Grand Theft Alvarado, you know what I'm saying? He given that team life. Like
Yeah.
I was watching that game. My man is screaming at the crowd.
Did you
He's
guys
one
see
of those
the
boys that's
cheers that they were
he,
doing
he's
for him?
bro. He is one of those guys that ain't afraid of the moment, right?
Yeah.
It's Chris Paul don't matter. Right? You know what I mean? Like he's looking, he don't care that he's a rookie. He's out there just balling. You see what I'm saying? And because of it, he's instilled literally this rookie has instilled a certain kind of confidence in the Pelicans where they feel like, bro, they ain't got nothing to lose. What
Yeah.
they're an eighth seed. They're, if anything, the Pelicans are playing with house money. They're playing with house money because there's no expectations for them. Nobody's expecting the Pelicans to win this series. So
Yeah.
they going out there fighting, doing what they can, and it's fun to watch. It's been a fun series.
The cool thing with Alvarado, obviously not to the same scale, but he's having his own like Linsanity type of run.
Yeah.
Where he's just making a name for himself around the league. There was times where we would have conversations. I remember you didn't even know who he was. You were like, "Who is this dude?"
I learned,
and then we showed you the highlight.
it was like mid-season too. Like
Yeah.
somebody said Jose Alvarado, and I thought about the MLB pitcher because I know there's a
Yeah.
lefty named Jose Alvarado, and I was like,
Yeah, he's
that's an
flipping rays.
MLB player.
And then now he
Yeah.
just has like his own signature move. Like nobody's doing what he's doing, just hiding in on the baseline in the corner, being a little grimy little rat, and then coming out
Just a little pest.
and
You know,
just
just
pouncing.
he's a
And nobody's
nuisance.
doing that.
He's like a the way I'd best describe it, he's a Patrick Beverly 2.0. Like he's not the
Less-
most athletic.
He's
He's
more
not the
fun
most
to watch
athletic.
than
He's
Pat
not he's not
Bev,
he's
too.
not the he's not the tallest, but he brings that intensity. He's gonna play hard defense. He's gonna be a pest, and he's gonna be in your face all night long. He has a lot of Pat Beverly in him.
Alvarado's gonna have people moonwalking up the court just because they're so scared. What's behind them?
Yeah.
So
And you know it's crazy. You
Just
mentioned
shout out
Pat
to young boy.
Bev. That's just an easy transition because we got another great series going on in the West. That's where really all the good series are happening. Memphis and Minnesota. I said this before. We had our preview, right, where we said how each team could win the final. And don't take that for I think every team will, but like it was how each team could do it. And the Timberwolves have kind of followed what I said they need to do. They need to just score at an insane clip because you're going to need to get these guys on the bench at Memphis tired because they're such a deep team that plays such a deep rotation like no other team in the league and especially no other team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That if you can score a lot and make the starters have to play more minutes, you're going to be in luck because that's not the way they like to play. And hey, we're going into game 5. This is a 2-2 series that maybe not a lot of people expected. John Morant is not particularly shooting well, shooting 27% from three. And he's getting outplayed by about 5 different guys in this series, 2 of them on his own team with Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane, which if you guys watched that last game, by the way, Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane hit absolutely insane shots at the end of that didn't matter because it was kind of too little too late. But, oh my, they hit some ridiculous shots that I wish they hit 5 minutes earlier. But how are we feeling? Memphis, Minnesota. Nico, you start me off with this one.
Yeah, I think this has been like the funnest series I think to watch, like as far as just competitiveness. You know what I'm saying? It's literally, in my opinion, a flip of a coin, right? I really like the T-Wolves going in this overall. I think as of lately, like at the last game, game 4, they did a great job of kind of containing Ja. He had 11 points. So that's a really good job of what they're doing. Again, we need more of everyone to kind of continue to do their job, right? Game 4, we had Jordan McLaughlin come off the bench, give you 16, which is great. But we need more productivity from the bench, right? Cat came in with 33. Pat Beverly dropped to 17. You know what I'm saying? Again, he's getting that supportive role, but the T-Wolves won by 1 point. You know what I'm saying? They need more productivity. They also had 10. One thing I wanted to talk about in this series and playoff basketball, which is something that is a lot slept on, is the free throws and the foul trouble, right? Something we didn't really talk about too much in that Pelican Phoenix series. The Pelicans didn't foul much. they went to the free throw line almost like 12 more times, I believe, like more than Phoenix. So they had a lot more opportunities for free throws in that sense. And the same thing you kind of see here with the T-Wolves. They had 23 personal fouls total, 10 less than Memphis Grizzlies. And they had more free throws and opportunities, just in general. More opportunities in playoff basketball have to be limited, right? You can't give anybody any type of slack, especially in playoff basketball, and especially in a series like this when it's a dogfight and it's just a scratch, tooth and nail. You just really don't know at this point.
You know, to piggyback off that, Nico, I'm looking at there's one guy I'm looking at in this series, and that's Cat, right? Because he has been so inconsistent. And this is the thing that Jimmy Butler was trying to tell us back in 2017, 2018, right? That Cat, I don't know if he's built that way, if he's ready for the playoffs. My man, you've been in the league 7 years, right? 7 full years. They gave you max dollars, okay? There's no reason you should have 8 points. I'm looking at his stat line for game 3. My man had 8 points and went 3 of 4. You took 4 shots in a playoff game?
And
Four
you're the number one
shots.
guy. It's not
Yeah.
like you're Jose Valanciunas who like
You know what I'm saying?
isn't the
Like
option.
you're the like you're the max player, my boy. Like I understand you got Anthony Edwards there. I know you got D'Lo there, but you're the number 2. I think everyone can see that Edwards has put himself in that number 1 role. He's the future. He's their superstar, and quite frankly, he's kind of taken the mantle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's got that swag. He got that moxie about him. Like, look, this is my team and it's gonna, the offense is gonna run through me. I'm cool with that.
Mhm.
But Cat has to show up. 8 point. Now he had a great game 4, but it's like, okay, you look at his numbers. 29 in game 1, 15 took 7 shots in game 2. Game 3 took 4 shots, had 8 points. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
if the T Wolves are gonna win this series, it's going to be because Cat said, okay, I'm not playing games and I'm going to average 25, 30 points the rest of this series. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards are not going to win this series by themselves. Cat has to be more consistent. He's getting paid way too much money to be out here getting 8 points. He played 33 minutes, fellas. He
Yeah.
played 33 minutes and got 8 points.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
you
Took
see,
4 shots. You know,
like you said it
that's
yourself, though.
unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
Like you said it yourself, though, in those games where Memphis has won and the T Wolves lost, Cat shot significantly way lower, right? In
Right.
those two
I mean,
games
bro,
when the T Wolves
the
win.
games they
So
won, the games they won, my man had 29 and 33.
exactly. So
Who would have
that's the
thought?
key. That's the key at this, right? Who would have thought Cat
Right. Like,
needs to
oh
be
my
that star
goodness.
that he was? Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right in that sense. So I don't really have an answer for
I'm
you as far as the shot selection and like why game 2 and 3 he shot, significantly
I mean,
lower.
I can tell you why, because to me, I think Cat is a type of dude who, his fire isn't there every single night. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I don't know what it is about him. Again, this is what Jimmy Butler took exception to because he was like, bro, this dude doesn't want it. You know what I mean? That there's something about Karl Anthony Towns to where shows up one night, another night seems like he rather be doing something else than hooping. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's just the impression he gives. I mean, bro, you took 4 shots. What the hell you was doing running around?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I completely agree with you. Anthony Edwards took that number 1 role. He wants that.
yeah,
Anthony
no,
Edwards is a dog. Michael Jordan
he
2.0,
clearly wants
he
it.
wants it.
No, he clearly
But
wants that.
but
You
they
know?
need to complement each other. You can't have Cat being a number 2. They have to be 1A and 1B if they want to make a run. You can't have Cat sitting back waiting for Anthony Edwards to go off and lead them to a win. You can't have that because
Yeah.
you're going up against firepower in the West.
Well, you know
A
what part of
lot
it
better
too?
teams, and you
It's
need them both going head to head.
it's not like a situation with the Warriors a couple of years ago where you had a 1A, 1B with Steph and KD where you're like uber worried about the other guy that there's screenshots all over Twitter right now, especially slandering KD, but like that there's literally 4 people on Steph because you're so worried about him. And then so
Yeah.
this other guy's getting wide open shots. That's not how it is with with Cat and Anthony Edwards yet.
No.
They need to still prove that they are both legitimate one options on their own before they get the type of worry treatment that's going to make the other shots easier for each other. So they do need to be that 1A, 1B to create that. Let them both pop off so it's like, man, we really got to worry about these guys.
Exactly. Because now you got to worry about what's Pat Bev doing to everybody being a menace. Is D'Angelo Russell going to come out and just start shooting lights out like he could?
Probably not.
He could.
Probably not.
D'Angelo Russell is very, very capable of shooting lights out.
See, and to me, look, the biggest thing is like Cat cannot shoot less than 10 shots. Period.
No. It's unacceptable in the playoffs. Unacceptable.
You can't have back-to-back games where you took 7 shots and then 4 shots the next night. Like that just can't happen. You know what I mean? And so those two, they got to figure out a way. Look, those boys are coming and they're not afraid of the moment. You know what I'm saying? You mentioned it. Ja hasn't really played well this series. And yet he's made big time plays down the stretch. See, superstars to me,
That's what
like when it comes down to being a star, you can have a bad night. That's fine, right? But when it comes down to those moments, right? Like Ja, he showed up in the fourth quarter. He had big time plays. He didn't have an overall, great game. But he made the plays. He put his teammates in position. I'm pretty sure one of those nights he had a triple double. He wasn't the most efficient from the field, but he's doing other things, right? Like he's not getting down on himself because he's not shooting the ball well, right?
Yeah.
He's getting his teammates involved. He's rebounding the ball, and he's making pivotal plays down the stretch. He's making big time layups, big time passes down the stretch. I also think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think this is one of those that goes 7. And shit. I mean, I really don't know who takes it because these first 4 games have been so different that anything can happen in Game 7. Anything.
Yeah,
And
here's
Cat
what
has
shows
to
up.
utilize him being a 3-level scorer. You got the size. Go body somebody in the paint if you need to. Use that size. Be on your bully. You're the best big man 3-point shooter in the world. Go out on the paint. Put it up.
I wish he had a little more Embiid in him. See, Embiid not afraid of the moment. Embiid wants the ball, right?
Yeah.
Cat has that, he has the similar size. He's not as big. He doesn't have the girth on him that Embiid does. But Cat is 6'11", right? And he's got good size, right? I want to see him take his behind in the paint and body somebody, right? Force a double and get it out to your shooters. You know what I'm saying? But again, him not being aggressive actually hurts Minnesota. It hurts them when he's not being assertive, when he's not being aggressive. That hurts them significantly.
And now they're going to play him soft. And now they're just going to double up somebody else.
Hey, listen, if Cat can continue his outing in Game 4, what he had 33 and 14. I'm looking at his numbers now. There's no reason why Minnesota can't pull off the upset. I'm just not banking on Ja Morant continuing to struggle. I think he's gonna find his shot, and I think he's gonna get he's gonna get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and if Ja finds his shot and Desmond Bane is still playing like the best player in this series, which he has been to this point throughout the duration of the series, if Ja shoots better than 27% from 3, this one's a wrap in 6, like 100%. Like these next games could be blowouts if Ja is like playing well. And obviously that's a big if because he hasn't really shown it in the playoffs thus far. But I mean, Bane and Brooks have been that good that they've held this team afloat despite how talented Minnesota is. Again, like I think they are incredibly talented. And we just didn't get to see a lot of them this year. They weren't on TV. Like nobody knows.
Yeah.
Now we know. Let's slide over to another series real quick. We'll try and talk about this one a little bit more because we have several more series to talk about it. So let's kind of go through it as quick as we can. But maybe the best player in the playoffs right now is Jaylen Brunson. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why this happened. I think he's just wanting a check. And I think he's earning a check when he gets his extension this offseason. And the Dallas Mavericks, despite not having Luka Doncic in 3 games, are tied 2-2 with the Utah Jazz. I don't know. This series is weird. I feel like
Yeah,
these teams
so
play
good.
every year.
You lose your star player, your best player. You win 2 games. He comes back, you lose. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Weird.
Does that make
Weird.
sense? Like, right? So what does that tell you for Dallas? Kind of,
To me, go ahead, Nico.
what does that? No, you go ahead, Darnell. What does that tell
I
you for
mean,
Dallas?
really, if I'm being honest, it really doesn't tell me anything. They
Nothing.
had a chance to win it at the last second. I mean, they lost by what? I think the last game they lost by a point,
Yeah.
was it, or maybe 2 points?
Yeah.
Luka gave you 30 his first game back. So I mean, really, it just tells me there were 1 or 2 plays that if they execute down the stretch, they win that last game. At the end of the day, Luka's, he's their engine. He's their star player. That team. I'm gonna be honest with you, that team is in the lottery without Luka. Let's
The
call it.
bottom end of the
Let's
lottery,
call
too.
let's call it like it is. That team is in the lottery without Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
And so him coming back is huge. To me, I got Dallas winning this series.
Really?
Utah is a disgrace. They've been this for years.
Fraudulent. Fraudulent.
Utah's a utter disgrace. They show up small in the playoffs every single year. I love Donovan Mitchell. My Knicks should have drafted him. Shout out New York. They should have drafted him instead of fucking Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, don't do
Okay.
this. Don't do this.
Who turned out to
we don't need to do
turned out
this.
to
We don't
be
need to do this.
turned out to be a scrub.
Bring out
But
the pain.
we
Go.
won't even go there.
We don't need to do this.
Donovan Mitchell is a bona fide superstar. I think he's a star in this league. The problem is he doesn't have doesn't have the pieces around him. Rudy Gobert is a fake max player to me. He's when you can't when I can't throw the ball to my big man, and he can't make a post move. This man can't make a move on the block. He has no offensive game whatsoever. You're not a max contract player. You're not. What you are is you're DeAndre Jordan. You know what I mean? Like that's really
good.
what he is.
He's a really talented Tyson Chandler.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it is. But yet Utah, they gave this guy max money, right? They tried to dress him up into somebody who's an all-star, which he has made the all-star team a couple times in his career, but I just don't look at Gobert in that way, in that light. And I look at Utah as, a team with one lone star and a bunch of pieces that haven't been able to get it done. It's time to blow that up,
Yeah.
Well, and here we mentioned this too. If Utah wins this series, which I think they're going to win this series, I think they're a little deeper. I think some of the pieces on Dallas shrivel to the moment a little too much, more so than the guys shrivel on Utah. Like these are both 2 fraudulent teams, I think. But I think if Utah wins this series, it is the worst thing to happen to their franchise in a long time, because they're going to win this series if they do, and they're going to go into the next series potentially playing the New Orleans Pelicans. So now they get the Pelicans, they beat the Pelicans, and now they're in the conference finals. All of a sudden, Utah has this weird aura where, like, man, we went to the conference finals. We're one piece away. They go trade for a 3-and-D guy. They go get whoever they go get. I don't know who would be a good fit for him. But now they're still trying to push this team that just doesn't have the talent and doesn't have the chemistry and force them into the finals like they've been doing the last half decade. I don't care how many 1, 2, 3 seeds you get. This team's not good enough to win a championship.
No. They've come up small in the playoffs the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, let's call it what it is, And I love Donovan Mitchell, but he needs to get the hell out of Utah. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? He needs to go somewhere where, if not, he's the first option. He's at least a number 2. You know what I mean? Can Donovan Mitchell be the best player on a championship team?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
My
This roster is good enough that if he were the best player, which he is the best player, but if he were that guy, he could get it done. It's a good enough roster that he could get it done. 100%.
He doesn't have a number 2.
And I get
Tell
that.
me Donovan
Jordan Clarkson can't
Mitchell's
be your
number
number
2.
two. Jordan Clarkson
Hell
can't be your number
no.
2. He can't be your number 2.
Hell no.
And I feel like
Mike
Gobert
Conley
has
can't
that
either.
same
Hell
Cole
no.
Anthony Towns syndrome that we were talking about. You look at game 1, he shot one shot, got I think 5 points.
Yeah, 5 points.
Yeah, 5 points. That's unacceptable. You can't do that in the playoffs.
Playoff
You
hoops.
cannot do that.
Playoff hoops.
It's only
Yeah.
averaging like 11.
That's
too.
embarrassing.
It's not like it's
And
70.
I'm a fan of, D Mitch and what he's accomplished in his
I love me
career,
some fire.
but it's about that time. It's
I'm
about that
I'm
time
also
that
getting
they
a little.
that they blow that up, that whether you trade. Listen, if I'm Utah, I don't want to trade Donovan Mitchell. I'm trading Gobert, and I'm trying
Get
to
him
get
out.
pieces to surround him. But if you're a guy like D Mitch, you may go to the organization and say, listen, this hasn't worked. I want out. You know what I'm saying? We've seen stars do it. As of recent, Ben Simmons, James Harden, Anthony
Zion.
Davis, these guys, they force their way out of bad situations. Donovan Mitchell's no different. He could do the same, and find himself in a much better situation where he can
Facts.
actually compete for a championship. You see what I'm saying?
I will.
He could be
say
that 1A, 1B you were talking about.
Yeah,
Jude.
I
He doesn't
agree. I
necessarily
agree.
need to
I don't
be
think
like,
I don't
the
think he's
star.
ever gonna be a 1 on a championship team.
No,
And you know
I
why?
don't think
You know why?
I don't think he
It's
could be the best player on a
unacceptable.
He
championship
could be a
team.
1B. He could be a
It's
1B.
unacceptable. I don't care how many shots a game you're putting up. I don't care how much of the offense has to go through you. It's unacceptable to be shooting under 30% from 3. Unacceptable.
Yeah. It 1 for 8 in the last game.
It's
or
just
in
it's
game
literally
4, yeah.
unacceptable. And you're the best player on this team, and I
Yeah.
get you're taking tough shots, you're creating tough shots, but there has to hit a point where you're like, man, that 3's not working. Let's try and create some other stuff and kind of abandon that or put it to the side until we get the other stuff going. And because he's not shooting well in this series at all. And
Yeah.
you know what? They're not shooting
Utah-
well, and it's a 2-2 series. So like you gotta feel
Hey,
kind of okay about
Donovan
that.
Mitchell gives me a little bit of Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. I felt that. Yeah. It's facts.
And
Can't
it's
shoot.
tough because there's times where you see him and he tries to take over a game. And I love that. But then he gets too sloppy with it. He gets too just flustered and tries to do too much, and then he ends up turning the ball over, or he puts up a bad shot, or he's not looking to get the ball to somebody else to put up a good shot. And then, like Drew says, he's not trying to get away from putting up a 30% 3-point clip. He just wants to keep on shooting, shoot, try to make it drop.
And
That's not going to work.
And that's
now
because he
we're-
doesn't have a 2. He doesn't
Well,
have a
and-
2.
and so I was just
But
gonna
that's the
bring
thing.
up.
Is
I
it
was
going to be
gonna
an
bring up the
issue
point.
even if he does have a 2?
Well, what happens when he
Uh-huh.
has a 2 and now he's not giving the ball to that 2?
Exactly.
Like, what happens then? Because
Exactly.
he's not a tremendous passer by any means. Like he's not a creator at all. He's an elite scorer. He's an elite athlete, and he can defend very well. But he is not like a distributor by any sense of the term. And so, like, what happens when you have that number 2? Like,
You give him a 2, and now all I'm saying is some of those shots go down. So now he's not the only one dropping. He's not
would
the
hope
only
so.
one putting up.
that's the
ideally,
thing. Yeah, hope.
ideally, right?
It's ideal.
That's
It's
ideally you would say.
But
You would think,
again-
right? You give him a number 2, and then he becomes the number 2, right? And he doesn't get the ball as much as he used to. Now his shooting percentage is probably going to go up, or
Hopefully.
could stay the same, right?
Hopefully it goes
Ideally,
up.
right? It would go up because he would shoot less. And then make more decisions. More assists probably would come up out of that versus, more points. So you see him more at the
Donovan Mitchell is a guy who unfortunately, he needs a guy a little bit like whose talents are pitched a little higher than his. He needs a guy who's a number 1 because Donovan Mitchell is good enough to be your second option. I think he's good enough to be your second option on a championship team, right? Like if you replace Chris Middleton with Donovan Mitchell, I think Milwaukee wins the chip, right?
Easy.
If you replace,
I don't know, man. Chris Middleton, Chris Middleton turns to MJ in certain games,
does.
like
let's-
in very specific conditions. The weather needs to be shining through the window at this angle. He turns to MJ.
And
No,
here's
Chris-
the
but I
issue
agree,
with
I agree,
Mitchell
I agree.
being the
I'm-
number
I'm-
2.
he
Is
shows
his
up. I'm
mentality gonna be okay with not being that number 1 guy?
No, I think because Donovan Mitchell's he's a pure scorer. right? So I don't think he'd take exception to playing with a guy who's better than him, right? I think he's a guy who wants to win championships, and he'll make that sacrifice. Look, there's
I hope
superstars in
so.
the past. There are superstars in the past we've seen have to make that sacrifice, and it worked. There are
Mhm.
other guys in the past who weren't willing to make that sacrifice, and you've seen what happened. I think he's one of those dudes that would be okay taking a back seat. Look, you're not saying he's going to be a third option, right? He's going to be a number two,
Not
but I
that,
still
not
think
soon. At some
I
point,
still
but
I
not
still
soon.
think he needs a guy who's better than him, right? I Because Donovan Mitchell's he's great, but I don't think he could be the number one on the championship team.
And J. Cole
If
said it best, pride is the devil. So you hope
you know,
that he's able to take that back seat and
yeah,
be a number
yeah,
two.
I like
You just hope. Because we don't know.
We don't know.
I
there,
hope so.
there are certain and really in today's league, look, you need two stars to win. Everybody knows that, and that's not just today's league. That's been since the
That's
dawn of
yeah, yeah.
that's been
Yeah.
since the dawn of time. Okay, it takes at least two superstars to win a chip. Everybody
Wilt couldn't
knows
win
it.
on his own. Like,
Okay, and there are anomalies every now and then where a great team wins a championship. They don't really have like one superstar, but
not
they have a
even every
great
now and
collective.
then. When's the
But
last time a
it
team
doesn't it
won
doesn't
without a
it
top
doesn't
15
happen.
player? It was Detroit. That was like
If you get
2004.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm saying 15 to
Um
be a little bit more broad. Like
And
there
then
have
the
you
been
Raptors were the
need
last one
there
without
have been
two
there have been
solid
there have
ones.
been there have been teams that like
Yeah.
didn't win it with like I'm saying like a collective group. Like to me that like you said that '04 team, right? That was a collective unit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They didn't have
Problem.
one superstar,
They had
right?
like
Yeah.
7
Um
great players.
yeah, and I look at that Dallas series against Miami in 2011. Dirk
Mhm.
Dirk?
was not Dirk. If you look at the time, Dirk was not a top. He was a Hall of Famer
He
at
was a
that
top
point,
15 player
but
that
he was not
year.
a top.
God,
He wasn't a top 10 player at that year. You see what I'm saying?
I
Like
would have to
they
look
had a
back. I
great
don't know.
they had a great overall roster. Dirk was the number one option, but he wasn't what Dirk used to be. So I look at that team as like one of those teams that had just a great overall team and won it all. But typically, it takes two superstars. It takes you two guys to win to at least make it to the finals. And I think
That's the most recent
Mitchell,
team without a
I think
second star for
Mitchell,
sure.
right, and I
Yeah.
think Mitch for sure needs to be in a situation where he's not the number one. He needs to be a number two.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, that's a weird series. I don't even know what to say about it other than just like
Just keep an eye on it.
both these teams are frauds, neither are
You know,
winning.
I,
That's
I
what
honestly
it comes down to.
I like Dallas in 6. I'm gonna
That's
be real with
that's
you.
fine. I hope
I like
whoever
No
wins
argument.
this doesn't have to
I like
play
Dallas.
the
I
Pelicans
like Dallas
because
in
I don't want to see
6.
these teams play longer. That's all.
Be the worst series we've seen.
That's just gross. So that's how I feel about that. There's not a whole lot to say about this Denver Golden State series. Besides just Jordan Poole has really, really shown that the Warriors never needed KD. That's just what it comes down to. They have such a good nucleus that like they create talent and they make players better. Has there ever been a duo or trio, I guess, or we'll say duo with Steph and with Draymond that's made other players as good as they are? Like Andre Iguodala was not as good as he was playing as. Kevin Looney is not a good NBA player. But like these random guys are so elevated by like the anomaly skill sets of Draymond and Steph that you're able to just like insta create like very tangible guys
Stars.
that are just like elite.
I I was gonna say that, but also you got to give credit to one their coaching staff, their development team. They pick up diamonds in the rough. You know what I'm saying? You look at a guy like Jordan Poole. You look at Gary Payton the second. Yeah, you look at a guy like Kevon Looney. You know what I'm saying? These are not household names. But Golden State does a tremendous job. Draymond Green was a second round draft pick. Let's not forget about that. They
he'll never
drafted.
let you forget
They
about it.
they didn't
He'll
they
never
didn't
let
they
you
didn't
forget about it.
yeah they didn't pick him up in a trade. They didn't pick him up in free agency. No, That he's homegrown. They drafted this man, so you got to give credit to the their coaching staff, GM. His name's not coming to me right now. Is it Bob? It's like Bob something.
Bob
What's his
Meyer,
name?
I believe.
Bob Myers.
I believe so.
I mean, you can't say enough of this dude. That
Yeah.
he puts out talent, paired with Clay, Dre, and Steph every single season.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Clay's injury in the 2019, finals, Golden State doesn't miss the playoffs last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Clay missed 2 full seasons. People forget that. This man was out 2 years, and Dre missed all of last year. So that nucleus, those three guys, that actually Golden State are my finals,
Favorites.
pick to come out the West. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
Golden State coming out the West.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
think
not,
you
I'm
see
not mad
like.
at that.
Oh, go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead,
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I think you see with guys like with the Golden State team and the big three and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, you almost get like a Tom Brady kind of like aura around them, right? In a sense, how like when Tom came to Tampa, kind of guys around them were like, I kind of want to play better now. I'm surrounded by such great talent, such greatness around me. I want to do better. I want to play better. Guys like like you said, Kevon Looney, like who? Like at one point
Yeah.
a couple years ago, you were saying that, and now he's coming and playing well. They're like you say, Golden State takes those guys. And they're kind of doing the opposite of what like the Cleveland Browns are doing, right? Taking these diamond in
And
the rough
elevating,
stars and
and
actually
elevating.
shaping them good. Yeah, exactly. Andrew Wiggins, right? He's becoming
You gotta
a
give
role
credit.
player.
Gotta give credit to their develop. I mean, they develop players out in
And
Golden
Yeah.
State, man.
and you know what
They
I think it
develop.
is?
They develop these dudes.
You know what I think it
Mhm.
is more than developing? Because I don't think developing is really where it is. I think every guy that steps foot on an NBA court has an opportunity to become, to some degree, a successful player, right? It's such a hard league to get into. It's probably the hardest league to get into, right? And like especially to stay in and be a staple in it. That
Mhm.
every guy that joins the league to some capacity has an ability to help a team and make them win if put into like the right situation, right? And I think like what Nico was saying, you kind of want to be around Steph, you want to be around these guys, but you get Andrew Wiggins out of Minnesota because we've established that him and Kat are both not that guy. Like they don't want to be that guy. So you get him out of a situation where he has to be that guy. Andrew Wiggins is maybe the fifth best player on this team. And he's had a career year. He's been fantastic this year. He's been all world defensively. He's been efficient. Like, I never thought I'd see Andrew Wiggins shooting 50% from three, and he's putting up like 4 or 5 a game. Like, he has been very, very good this year. And, being able to have guys commit to a role and then really push and go towards that specific role is like, again, testament to Steve Kerr and their staff. Steve Kerr with 80 wins. I think there's only a handful of coaches who have that in the playoffs. So shout out there.
Yeah, no, they've done a great job putting talent around, like you said, that big three. Remember that this team set a record for wins before there was ever a Kevin Durant there. So they've got a blueprint on how to win. These guys know how to win, right? And so when you're able to plug and play these different role players, they know exactly what they need to do and what spots they need to be in, and they feel a sense of, I'm involved because you got guys who aren't selfish. Steph Curry's not a selfish. That's the point I was making to you before the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Steph Curry's not a guy who needs to pound that ball 12, 13 times. He's moving off screens. He's coming off ball screens. He's setting screens for guys. Like Steph sets a lot of on ball screens as well. And so he's not a guy who needs to monopolize the basketball. So it's a beautiful thing. The way Golden State plays, the way they move the ball. Clay. Like,
It's
there's not
very
enough to be said about Clay. I mean, he had a big time night last night. I think he had about 13 points in the third quarter. He was heating up. He was on his way to drop 40. But overall, Golden State, that team is dangerous, and especially that Book is hurt. Yeah, Golden State needs to be the
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 favorite.
front runners, the favorite coming out of the West, hands down.
I will say that was the first game in the last 4 years, I believe, maybe 5, that Steph and Clay both scored 30 and lost. Was last night. So
Yeah.
shout out to the Joker for doing everything he can. He's likely the 2-time MVP now. I think they've leaked
Listen,
some of the votes, so he's most likely going to win
if
another MVP. If
if
he
you're
had
that
his number
dude,
2 and 3 guy, this would be a very good series.
listen, if you're that dude, you can get one. I'm not saying Jokic gonna win. They ain't gonna win the series, but he got you one.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
no,
saying?
and he did it. And this
Jokic said, "I ain't getting swept now."
and this
You
is
know,
It-
this
he ain't
is
getting swept.
the
Got you on.
hardest
That's what I'm
three.
saying. He got you one. That's
Yeah.
it. Jokic got you one. And he did
I
his
think he can
job.
get him another one. I think they win one more game. I'll give him one
This
more.
this is a gentleman's sweep. This is a gentleman's sweep because
Okay.
the next game is in Golden State.
I'm
You
still.
telling me
I'll
Golden
take.
State's gonna
I'll take.
lose a they're gonna
I'll
lose
take
a
one more.
closeout?
I'll take
They're
one
gonna
more.
lose a closeout game in
You know why?
I don't
Because
know.
Joker's putting
I
up
don't know.
46. And
Jokic is a bad man. He's a bad brother, dude. That's
Yeah.
a bad man.
And
but
You know?
they didn't have a
I
chance
don't
from
need-
this from the start though. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't.
I don't need to say too much about the series because you guys hit all the nails on the head.
Yeah.
Just one thing to shout out to the Warriors organization. They emerged in 2015 with this group, top of the league.
We'll say 14. We'll give him that year before.
Sure, you make the point even better.
Probably
2014.
like
It's
14.
2022, and we're still talking about them at a high level. And the only reason why the last couple years we haven't is injuries.
Injuries.
So the
Injuries. That's
fact
it.
from
That's it. Injuries.
2014 all the way to 2022 and the foreseeable future, because there's no reason why they don't keep on going for another 5 years.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous what the
Ridiculous.
Warriors have built. It's unheard of.
I
Have we
actually-
ever seen an organization
Yes.
build?
Yes.
The-
I was
the-
going
I
to mention
said
it
the
earlier.
Spurs- I said
Yeah,
the
the San
Spurs.
Antonio Spurs. Yeah.
San Antonio.
This is the second coming of the
really
Spurs.
but that's really the only one.
That's it.
If you think about it, San Antonio for 20 years.
25 years.
I mean, you
they were insane.
you had a
dude.
nucleus of, but I'm saying that core remained together of Pop, right? Tim, Manu, right? And Tony.
Yeah.
So like those four guys were together for a solid 16, 17, 18 years. And Golden State has kind of now taken that mold
It's very
to
similar.
where,
It's
bro,
very similar.
look, listen, Steph and Clay, their game is predicated not on athleticism. Their game is predicated on being able to get, quality shots, open looks, a lot of ball movement. So they're going to be able to do, they'll be able to do this for the next, like you said, 4, 5, 6 years. You know what I mean?
And what's crazy, the Spurs end at 2013, 2014? And then the Warriors.
Right. And
so we're going 40
how
years
many-
of just Spurs Warriors, and it's ridiculous.
The only
how
reason
many
the Spurs
how
are
many
done is because
championships?
Kawhi wanted out too. If Kawhi was still there, the Spurs would still be they would still be
and and how many championships, right? 5 from the year 1999.
so.
I'm talking for San
I
Antonio.
think 5.
The year 1999 to about 2015. You're looking at 5 championships over that
They could have
span.
won 2 or 3 more. too.
I think Golden State has, they've kind of taken that San Antonio mold, and they're going to be able to do this for many years to come.
Yeah, so shout out to them.
Yeah, this
ridiculous.
series is no fault on Jokic. This is just
No.
They're
Jokic,
hurt.
look,
Tough.
Jokic did his job. Like I said, he got you one. He got you one. He
And
did
the
his
fact
job.
that they're able to build another death lineup,
yeah,
it's stupid.
100%. Yeah, ridiculous.
Now, we do have a really big thing to talk about, but I want to speed run this real quick. Shout out to the Bulls for having a good year. Injuries kind of derailed it a
Let's
little
just
bit.
skip this.
No,
Skip
it's
this
gonna
one.
be
I don't
quick.
wanna
It's
talk
gonna be
about the
quick.
Bulls,
It's
man.
gonna
I
be
don't
quick.
wanna talk about
It's gonna be
this.
quick.
It's gonna break my heart.
If I got to talk about what I need to talk about, you talk about your damn Bulls.
Nah,
Over here.
Let's talk Chicago. Let's talk Chicago.
Listen.
I
let's
think I got it.
Listen.
What time is it?
Speedrunner
I think I got
Yeah.
somewhere to
No,
be.
we're gonna fast track this a little bit. We don't have a whole lot of time to talk.
No,
about it.
we don't have to fast track it.
But what I'll say is that the Bulls started this season incredibly hot, And if you know ball, and if you've seen years past, you knew it was fraudulent. And now here we are, 6 months later. They're about as healthy as they're going to be. They don't have Lonzo, but everybody else on this team is healthy. They have their 3 stars. And they're in the playoffs, losing by 30 and 20 at home. And there's not really any rebuttal. Like, this team is not built to win in the playoffs. They have 2 guys who are ballers, and they can absolutely score. DeMar had the best season of his career. It took the best season of DeMar's career to get them to a 6 seed, to get beaten 5 by Milwaukee. It's not over yet, but it's over. The series is done. This is cooked.
Look, Chicago have been pretenders since the regular season. When you look at their record, I looked at an alarming stat. Their record against teams that were above 500 was awful. Like, any team that had a winning record, Chicago didn't show up in the regular season when you talked about big time games. So to me, their play in the postseason is just indicative of what the team that they've been all year. You know, they play well against teams that are in the lottery, and when it comes to teams that are actually doing something, they wet the bed. You know, they got a guy who's not an efficient 3-point shooter in DeMar DeRozan. Great mid-range game, no doubt. Nobody can dispute that.
You mentioned that he hasn't made a single 3 in this series, by the way.
And you got a guy in Zach LaVine who's a primary scorer, who isn't great at facilitating, who really actually isn't even that great at creating his own shot. He's a scorer who really is a guy who needs to be coming downhill, right? Fast break, in transition, pull up, open jumper. He's not a guy who you can give the ball to and say, go get me one. He ain't like that, So the dynamic of this roster is really weird. Injuries played a role. I'm not gonna say it didn't. If they had Lonzo Ball out there, look, Lonzo is a very underrated defender. Like, you have to bring that up. He's an underrated defender. I don't know how much of a difference him out there makes.
He doesn't win them an extra game though.
I mean, he's a facilitator though. He's gonna give you that. He's gonna.
I do think they are a better team with Lonzo Ball on the court.
But that doesn't win them another game in this series.
No.
You don't think they win game 1 without Lonzo, or with Lonzo game 1?
No. Let me put it to you.
They held Giannis to 19 points, and Lonzo on there, like you said, is a lockdown defender.
Lonzo's not stopping Giannis.
I'm not saying he's stopping down Giannis.
Don't bring Giannis with 19 points and,
I'm just saying,
and Lonzo being a good defender in the same time.
Okay, I get what you're saying. No, basically, Neek, you basically saying that Chicago would lose in 6 instead of 5 with Lonzo. No, I'm actually being serious though.
You're right.
Losing,
you're not lying.
Like they'd lose in 6 instead of losing in 5, right? If Lonzo was on the floor.
I could get down with that.
Because Lonzo Ball makes them a better overall basketball team. He does. Yep. You can't dispute that. With that being said, it's marginal. It's it's not. What I mean.
I'm just saying Lonzo Ball guards Grayson Allen, and Grayson Allen does not put up 27 points.
It's not a championship type level change.
That's super fair. That's super fair. We're talking about first round.
Well, and here's the thing too: if Grayson Allen scores 12 yesterday, they still win. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Because the big issue that we're not talking about is the Bulls' best 3-point shooter is Nikola Vucevic. When your center is your best 3-point shooter, how are you supposed to be a championship caliber team unless DeMar DeRozan's dropping 45 points? Like, you're not going to be able to last against these high championship caliber teams.
Well, that's what Superstar needs to do if he wants to win.
Here's the last thing I'll say about the Bulls. DeMar DeRozan, I love DeMar DeRozan. He might be a Hall of Famer. He probably will be if he plays like this another 2-3 years, right? Which, like, the NBA Hall of Fame doesn't mean much, but, like, something to be said. He is simply not that guy when it comes to the playoffs. He's just not. That's okay. it's kind of the same. It's really that Donovan Mitchell light. Like I'm seeing Donovan kind of go down that same path. We talked about that earlier. Won't beat a dead horse, but this guy is a
In
crazy
in
talent that in the playoffs, I don't even want him on the court for my team.
Facts.
in DeMar DeRozan's defense, he has led teams in the East, in his Toronto days to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? Best player on the team. He's led teams to the Eastern Conference Finals. The problem is he ran into LeBron,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, but in
you don't
those
expect
series, we can go
DeMar.
back and look. He wasn't playing well even when they made those runs. Like him and Kyle were struggling in those runs, but they had other guys too. Like they had like Bargnani for a couple of those years, and
Yeah,
they had some
I,
pieces that were like,
I just see DeMar as a guy who again who really needs to be a number two option on a championship team. You see what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
he's run into guys that are better than him. Like it's not his
it's
fault.
not his fault he ran
He's
into
he's run
LeBron and
he's
Giannis
not
and
now Giannis. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he actually ran into LeBron twice in the East Finals. Like
Yeah.
if it wasn't
Cooked.
for if it wasn't for
Cooked.
Braun, we would have been talking about DeMar DeRozan possibly
I you
in
know
the
my dog
finals.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a situation where yeah, he's
Unf-
running to Giannis. What is he supposed to do?
Unfortunately,
You
unfortunately,
know,
what do you say? What you say, Dharnell? It was what? Barbecue chicken.
barbecue,
Barbecue
barbecue,
chicken.
And guess what? I
barbecue.
think this next game's tomorrow. Bulls Bucks, and I'm taking the Bucks by 30.
Okay.
Ah,
That's disrespectful.
They beat them by 30
ah.
in Chicago. It's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful. No Chris
Zach
Middleton.
Levine's mad.
No Chris Middleton in game 3 or 4. They lost by 30 and 20. Not disrespectful.
On to the Nets.
Before we get to the Nets is where we got the most to
My
talk
heart.
about. So we ain't going to the Nets yet. I want to talk about the Hawks and Trae Young, who led the league in total points this year. And I don't know if you guys saw his interview last night after the game, but he said, I have not been like this warm covered this often since high school, which is weird. Like, I feel like that's a lie, but I watched the NCAA tournament, but okay. Has 16 a game, and he is absolutely getting shut down by the Miami Heat. I knew the Heat defense was really good, and I think we all knew that. But, like, to do what they're doing to Trae Young, it's almost like demoralizing to watch as like a Hawks fan.
There's a play that I saw the highlight of. Trae Young's bringing it up court. PJ Tucker picks him up. Clamps. Trae tries to get away. They switch. Bam picks him up. He's not even really maybe 5 feet inside half court. Trae tries to keep on going around the other side of the court. And then Jimmy Butler picks him up too. And there was just nothing Trae could do. He couldn't breathe. The man was suffocating. And it was ridiculous.
Well,
It was wild.
And you know what's crazy? It all circulates back to the second star thing we've been talking about kind of this whole episode. The fact that Trae Young doesn't have a second bona fide scorer allows Miami to just hunker down and say, hey, we're going to pick you up at half court
Right,
and get past
right.
this big
Yeah,
fella.
exactly.
It's a thing where because look, at the end of the day, Trae Young is a 6'1", 6'2" guard. Okay, he can only do but so much.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, as phenomenal and fantastic as he is,
Which he
right? He
is.
can only he's an all-star talent. He's a great player, no doubt. But he's 6'1", 6'2". He can only do so much out there. You know what I'm saying? He can only carry Atlanta so much. And Miami is a great defensive team, as you pointed out. They've got bodies that they're throwing at him. He's seeing multiple defenders. They're being physical with him, and he doesn't have another guy to take the pressure off. So that's really Atlanta's problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, I told you guys if we can go back, you have the stats, man. I said Miami from the get. I loved Miami this whole year. They're a seasoned team, a weathered team, man. They did it in 2020, right? Bubble year was a little fluke or whatever you want to call. Last year they dealt with injuries, whatever. Whatever. Some people wanted to argue, say it was a bubble season, whatever the well you want to say. They deserved it and earned it. Tyler Herro again was a rookie that year and still played, as a rookie, really well. And again, now this guy's seasoned. Now he has years behind him in the playoffs now too. So it's no longer, get that playoff nerve and championship vibe nerve type intensity out. You have, veterans, you have young guys, you have a very great mix. Jimmy Butler's the star he needs to be, right? Tyler Herro's season now, PJ Tucker, lockdown defense. You forgot about your other guy, Bam Adebayo, your number 2. You know what I'm saying? This team just up and down has just been doing well. Their bench plays very well. You see that's something you see with this Miami Heat team is that they play a lot of their guys like for minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? They use a lot of everyone kind of in certain situations and scenarios and plays. So I mean they're very good. I really do like Miami
One
Heat.
thing I think is
the East.
crazy about this Heat team is Tyler is playing objectively poorly as a scorer so far in the playoffs. Like he's a bench scorer, like right, he's a 6-man Lou Will type of guy. That's kind of the role they've given him this year. He has not played particularly well at that in terms of scoring. Bam is not getting into his bag yet in terms of scoring, despite these guys all playing fantastic defense. That's kind of all they needed to do. I feel like Spo is like, hey, I don't really care if you guys score right now. Just like play some hard D and we'll be all right. And it's kind of what's happened.
Yeah, Tyler Hero, he's had one good game these playoffs. But again, the Heat. Here's the thing: the Heat do it as a collective.
Yeah.
Even Jimmy Butler as their lone star. I look at him as they're really their lone star. Even he's not a guy who's looking to jack up shots. He's not out there trying to be somebody who's averaging 25, 30.
Which he is putting
Jimmy's
up 30
like,
in the series.
Jimmy's like, you know what? Y'all do your thing the first 3 quarters, and come money time, give me the damn rock. You know what I'm saying? He's like, give me the ball, I'll take us home. Right? He's a closer.
There does need to be a point.
And
there does need to be a point where we start looking at the Heat as the East Coast Warriors, right? Like
they are.
Max
Yeah,
Struss.
absolutely.
Max Struss was cut by the Celtics this offseason, picked up, and he has been like, if you guys have watched a Heat game, this is more towards everybody watching. If you guys have watched a Heat game, this guy is like a game changer. Like he's the dude who doesn't fill the stats a whole lot. I mean, he's been scoring pretty well for them. I think he's their second leading scorer in the playoffs, or maybe their third. I don't remember if he ever scoring more.
No, he's second. Yeah, he's got like 30. He's averaging like 13 a game.
This guy makes shots. Like he's like there, throw it out, get a bucket, bang, Battier from back in the day. Like that's what he reminds me of. I know he's not as big, but like this guy was thrown to the scrap heat from the Celtics, who are, it's kind of worked out for them too. But like he's like, they pick up a guy like him out of nowhere. They get PJ Tucker, who had a pretty bad year last year. Despite them winning the championship, he didn't really play his best ball. They get these guys, they give them roles, and they kind of just strive in them. And they're, imagine if the Heat had a Steph Curry, had a Klay Thompson. The Heat's best player is Jimmy Butler, and their best player might not be as good as the Warriors' third best player. Like, I'm not gonna disrespect Jimmy Butler and say Jordan Poole's better yet, but like, it might be getting close.
We'll see. The intensity is gonna turn up. Like you said, there's no need for like, I mean, not like necessarily no need. It's not really an excuse to say more so, but they don't really need to have 3 guys putting up 22, 23, and 40, right? Jimmy Butler can put up 30 and everyone else can put up, their, whatever numbers, and just play defense against this Atlanta Hawks team. Exactly. This Hawk team, they don't need much.
I think y'all can agree this series is pretty much over. I'm looking at how Miami is gonna play against Philly, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see an answer for Joel Embiid and Harden. I don't see Miami being able to beat those guys. But it's going to be a tough series. I think that's a 6-game series.
The only reason I like that series a little bit for Miami, and here's kind of where I go with it. Joel Embiid scoring his 25 to 35, whatever he's going to do. He's going to kind of do that because Joel Embiid's proved that he's the guy. He wants the ball. He's going to score. This is going to happen. Unless that thumb is a bigger issue than we expect it to be, which it might actually be.
I do think it is.
I fully expect Philly to win this series, not because I think they're like better at this point. They've just played really well in the first couple of games. They really clamped down on Toronto, And they just kind of showed like Toronto needs another year or two, and that's fine. I think Toronto's going to be really good in a year.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes comes back.
Yeah, I think they're going to be
He'll be
really talented really good when Scotty becomes that number one guy.
Yeah, he will.
But
I
Philly,
like Scotty a lot.
Philly,
Shout out FSU.
Miami, when that
Philly,
inevitably
Philly,
happens,
Philly, Miami. That's gonna be an amazing series.
Gonna be a dogfight.
those
Um,
guards
it'll
are going to get
it'll be
clamped.
it'll be
Tyrese
a
Maxey
dogfight.
has had his way the last like couple weeks of the year, and he's had his way with the Raptors. Tyrese Maxey is not going to show up in this Heat series, and not because he doesn't want to, not because he's not that guy, because that defense is going to Trae Young him. And they're going to let Joel Embiid score. I guarantee you, they're going to let Joel Embiid score, and they are not going to let anybody else beat them. I've seen Miami do it every year.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is going to be to contain Harden. I think Embiid's going to score. There's no stopping Embiid, right?
If Harden's putting
But
up
the
30, they
biggest
don't have
thing
a
is-
chance.
Yeah, that's going to be the key in my opinion, right? You put away that 1B, like you said, right? Well, your 1A in that sense against in that Miami series is going to be Embiid, right? There's nobody stopping him down below. You can put Bam there, but there's no way. Like you said, that girth, man, it's something different. But you get that 1B locked down. James Harden, no scoring. He has no defense. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's where Miami's going to have a chance.
Well, Harden is averaging, and this is him struggling. He's averaging 20 and 10 in these playoffs.
He's struggling.
And he's
too,
not,
man.
and that's struggling.
Yeah, that's
20 and
struggling.
10. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? He giving you 20 and 10, and he's struggling.
He's shooting
So
like
let that
35% or something like
man let that man catch his stride. And again, look, whether he's still nursing that hamstring injury or not, whatever, he's on the court. I'm not giving
Yeah.
that. I'm not giving him that excuse. But I will say that is a factor. Okay, now people talking about, oh, is Harden cooked? Is he this? I don't think James Harden is cooked. I think he forced his way out of Brooklyn because he didn't want to be, in that situation with Kyrie and not wanting to be vaccinated. And the first few games in Philly, he looked great, but then you started to see a little bit of drop off, right? I think that hamstring is probably still kind of nagging him, but yeah, he's still good enough to play, so it's not I guess hurting him that bad, right? But I think if Harden can get his shot going, Embiid is gonna do what it do. Maxey is nice. You got to remember, you still got a guy like Tobias Harris who is averaging, I want to say, 20 in this series, so he's showing up. If you could get anything from Philly's bench, like Niang, he's shooting the ball well. If other guys are Maxey, if he's hitting his shots, and
Have
then
you seen
you look
the
at
Danny
Thunder.
Green memes? Anytime he takes a shot, you're like, Danny Red,
No,
stop it.
I haven't seen it.
Danny, stop. Red light,
Mhm.
please. Danny Green is terrible. I want that to be done.
Yeah.
Danny Green is a bad basketball player now. I don't know what happened.
You-
He lost a
Well,
step. He lost a
he-
shot. I don't know. That man's cooked. He's cooked.
He's not what he used to be.
No.
He's just
Not
not
him.
what
That's all it is.
he just, that's really all what it comes down to. He's just
Yeah.
not what he used to be. He's not the
Yeah.
player he used to be.
Cooked.
Because I'll tell you what, the last time we saw him really, I'm saying really playing well was when he
Spurs.
won the chip. No, I was gonna say when he won the chip with Toronto. Actually, he played really well with
Yeah.
Kawhi.
He played well in
He
the
played
playoffs.
ver-
He was not good in
he
the
played-
season, but he played well in the playoffs.
No, just talking play. Yeah, when it
Yeah.
came to the
Yeah, yeah,
playoffs,
yeah.
he was Kawhi's almost like Kyle Lowry was the number 2, but he was almost Kawhi's like number 2, 3 option. And Danny Green hit a lot of big shots in those playoffs. So to see the way he's playing now is sad. Yeah, man,
It
is
is
done.
sad. It's done.
You know,
Yeah.
the way Danny Green playing now, yeah, he's not that guy he was in Toronto or in San Antonio. Definitely
Yeah.
not.
And we got one last series. We saved the best for last. The only series that is on sweep watch. And this is going on in a couple hours, so by the time you listen
Yup.
to this, it might be over. It might be tough.
Yup.
We got our local resident fan over here, Brooklyn,
So,
down 3-0, going back to we're in Brooklyn for this next game, so there's something to be grateful for, I guess. What's the vibes over there?
Well, first things first, let me go get my dog, because I know once I'm done talking, I'm going to get jumped, and I'm going to be fighting for my life.
Yes.
So let me get my dog out here. Shout out to Omniaddy season. Hooked me up with this. So much love to that. But I got to start off with saying shout out to the Celtics. Much respect. That defense is insane. There's a reason why they're number one in the NBA. And it's showing. They're swarming everything. It is so hard for the Nets to get anything clean up. And when they haven't been hitting it. That's a whole nother issue. But I haven't seen defense played on Kevin Durant like this in his career where like there's nothing he could do. There's nothing he could do. Jason Tatum is on him like just white on rice, boy. He he's stuck to him, and KD is looking shook out there. He doesn't know what to do. He's
Um,
having problems. He's having
look,
problems,
Boston came out with a game plan, okay,
and they're
and
executing.
they're executing, right? They said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna swarm Kevin Durant, okay. I'm watching this game, and before my man even touches the ball, he's got at least 3, 4 people just bodying him up,
Yeah,
right? So they're being physical, okay. They're tiring him out, right? Keep in mind, Brooklyn Stars have not played well, and each game has come down to the wire. Okay, obviously you had Tatum hit his game winner in game one. Defensive breakdown. They lose bodies. They
off
lose
the
game
circuit
one.
shot. You eat
Right?
that. You eat that.
Okay, that happens, right? Game two is unacceptable. Okay, game two, KD goes 0 of 10 in the second half. I mean, that's not Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like you
Oof.
said, he's never been defended like this in his career. My man has been in the league 14 years. I've never seen Kevin Durant defended like this. I've been watching this man since his rookie year with the Supersonics. Okay, never been defended like this ever.
No,
Right? So I
because
mean, this is
any
somebody.
defensive team brings to KD, he just
No,
shoots over it.
this
He
this
just
this is a
shoots
guy
over it.
who in his sleep averages 30.
Yeah.
Okay, in his sleep, he averages 30. So to me, it's a combination of look, Boston Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. Plus, you got long defenders in Brown and Tatum. You got Al Horford, back there. Look, Boston's a great defensive team. I'm not taking anything away from them. The reason I picked Brooklyn, okay, to win this series, was mainly because I said, okay, you got Kyrie Irving back. And you have Kevin Durant, who's the best player in the world. I did not anticipate Boston's defense to be to stifle KD the way that they have.
Yeah.
And that's really been the biggest thing. Now they've played great defense on him, but there have also been points where KD just miss open shots. I've also just seen him miss shots he normally like. There are points where he just misses shots he normally makes.
He looks
So you got
shook.
it. So you got
He
it.
looks shook.
You gotta take that into account. Kyrie, I mean, look, monster game one, game two and game three, no show. Uh, I mean, what more can you say really about Boston defense? They've been outstanding.
And then the thing that stands out to me is the fourth quarter for both of them. Kyrie, obviously, game one, he had a big game, 18 points in the fourth quarter.
Oh, 18 in the
Cool,
fourth. I mean, he was
cool.
unguardable. They
But,
could they
but
could they
then you
couldn't
look
guard
at
him.
them being guardable. KD, game one, 5 points on 2 for 5. Game two, 6 points, 0 for 5. Doesn't put up a shot. And then 1 for 1 with 4 points. Kyrie, 2 points in both game two and game three on 1 for 4 shooting.
Combined.
You can't have that. That is embarrassing. You guys are superstars. You guys are two of the arguably best scorers in NBA history people could put you up for. And this is what you guys are doing. This is how you guys are showing up. That's unacceptable. You can't
Yeah.
be doing that. And then the thing also with this series with the Boston defense, they have them looking so shook that the turnovers have been
I was
ridiculous.
about to point that out. So like if you're
Yeah.
a great scorer like KD, all right, and this is mostly KD, you're a great scorer and it's not falling. It happens. You go through rough patches. Like you hope it doesn't happen in the playoffs and it's the lights are bright. I think it was game one. Or hold on, let me get the games right. Game three, he had 5 turnovers. Game two, he had 6, and game one, he had 6. You
Yeah.
cannot have 17 turnovers as the non-primary ball handler.
No.
That's just bad. That's bad.
And there's been
Yeah.
some really bad turnovers where he just throws it to his demons out on the court. There's not a net in sight, and he's just turning it over.
If your
It's looking
team
bad.
If your team has 17 turnovers in 2 games, you're pissed. In 3 games, Kevin Durant on his own has 17.
I think I saw a stat, and it was 17 turnovers and 19 field goals. That's embarrassing.
Crazy.
And
Yeah,
then you look
what-
at game 2 for KD. He puts up 27. Cool. Normally, solid
23.
game.
Or yeah, 27. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
I got it, Nico.
Sorry,
hurt.
I was just looking
And
at
this,
the
this
wrong
is
Yeah,
coming
I'm
from the
hurt.
heart. This pain. This pain. He goes 18 for 20 from the line.
It's
Amazing.
crazy.
What's happening when he's not getting to the line like that?
Yeah. Taking 2-3 points that game too, like that's you know what I mean? Like it's kind
He
of
goes
outrageous.
4 for 17
Yeah.
on the night.
That's
That
that's
is
just bad.
unheard
6
of for
turnovers.
Kevin Durant. Unheard
No,
of.
no. He's struggling, but see, here's the thing. It's a combination of a few things, right? I can't let Steve Nash off the hook for this one, okay?
No.
Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to get your superstars good looks. You got to be able to get your stars open looks. There's no reason why KD, the majority of the time, should have the ball at the top of the key trying to go one-on-one. Okay, we see Boston's defense is stifling. That's not going to work. Why have there not been sets run to get these guys open shots? That's a question that I ask, and that's something that Steve Kerr is going to have to answer at the end
Because
of
he
the
doesn't
season,
have those sets.
right?
It's not his bag.
And that's something where look, you have to you got to bring up the fact that at the beginning of this season, Kyrie's talking, oh, we don't need a coach. You know what I'm saying? He was saying we could do this ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Well, okay, look at what's going on now. All right, because at the end of the day, y'all are superstars. You and KD might be stars, but coaching is important for those other guys, right? Those other
Yeah.
role players. Them dudes need to be coached because they
Yeah.
don't have the talent of Kevin Durant and Kyrie, right?
Yeah.
So coaching's huge, and Steve Kerr's definitely dropped the boat. But
Steve
then
Nash.
also you got to give
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash, excuse me.
Yeah, I guess.
But then you also
Kerr's
got to
been great.
give Idoku, the coach for Boston, credit. His guys have come out and they've executed the game plan to a T, and I got to give Boston credit, no doubt. I got Brooklyn winning tonight because we ain't going home. KD gonna get you one. he
And
ain't
that's what I
getting
want to
swept.
think, but
He ain't
he's
getting
giving me
swept.
no reason to even believe
Now-
that after 3
KD,
games.
Now,
KD,
here's-
Here's
KD
another
gonna
thing with
get
the
you
coaching,
one.
real quick, dude, before you go. I'm just convinced that Idoku took everything that he learned from Steve Nash last year while he was on the Nets coaching staff, brought it to Boston, is using that against Steve Nash, and Nash is doing nothing to adjust to it. He's using the same game plan he had that he was preaching to the coaching staff. Idoku knows what he's gonna do, and that's it. And they're just stopping it. They know that whatever Nash and the Nets are bringing to the table, we got something for that. And that's what has been shown this series, because there hasn't really been anything to show adjustments from game to game and quarter to quarter when they're being stopped and pressured and just dismantled. Nothing. So it's
Now-
embarrassing. They're getting embarrassed, and tonight's going to be a true test for
Now-
KD's legacy.
Let's throw a shout out to Jason Tatum, first of all, right? Shout out Jason Tatum.
Absolutely,
He's a baller.
absolutely.
He's been playing his
He
butt
is.
off. Whole second half of the year, he's been great. He got himself an MVP conversation. He was probably somewhere like 4 or 5 or 6 in that list. Kudos. Shout out. He's a blossoming star. He's a superstar. One of the main guys in this league. And in a couple of years, when he's entering his true prime, he will be one of the faces of the league, right? That doesn't take away the fact that you have the faces of the league on the other side of the court. Steve Nash is a fraud of a coach, which makes no sense because he built a career for getting guys wide open that had no business being open and making shots. Steve Nash had the best offense of all time that he ran with him on a pick and roll with Amari Stoudemire and a guy who cheated on his wife cheated on him with on the same court. They've been the best offense of all time. There's no reason that an objectively better duo of superstars he can't help. get to that. Now, whether that's an indictment on him or the stars themselves, I think it's a combination of both. I think, this is opinions and all that, but Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are the least coachable duo to be good in the history of this game. They are so uncoachable, it hurts. And the only reason that it worked out for KD in Golden State is because he was just like doing what he wanted, and he was just wide open half the time. Like, I don't think KD would have bought in if that team didn't win 2 championships before he got there, or a championship before they got there. So
I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Only for the fact that, look, Steve Steve Nash was brought. Look, Kevin Durant and Kyrie co-signed on them bringing in Steve Nash, right? Like Sean Marks does not bring in Steve Nash
if
unless he's gone to his stars and said, "Look, this is who we're looking at. Are you cool?" Kyrie had a prior relationship with Steve Nash, right? And so that relationship, is really what brought him in. But it's Kyrie's like unwillingness. Like I agree with you with Kyrie. Kyrie, I feel like Kyrie thinks that he don't need a coach, right? He could do this. He could do this in his sleep, right? But Kevin Durant, on the other hand, he's so loyal to his boy that he's just like, yeah, yeah, cool. He's just gonna go along with it, right? I think if you have a different coach in in that position, you're not down 3-0. I'm telling you that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You might be down in the series, but you ain't down 3-0, and there have been different tweaks and different things where you can clearly see Steve Nash is being out coached, and it's glaring, so it's just a situation where these guys now they gonna try to salvage the season by, like I said, not getting swept.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, and
Because
with
it's
the
over.
with the
The
coaching
season's over,
again,
right? They're not coming back from this, right? It's done.
I
if
mean,
they
look,
do, it's the greatest
look,
comeback ever, and then they're
it,
gonna win the
it's
NBA championship.
so
If they
it's
do,
so look, it's
but
never
that's
happened in NBA history where
it's
a
such a
team
pipe
has
dream.
come down from
Yeah,
3-0. But again, it never happened in NBA history where a team came back from 3-1 in the finals, and it happened. So I mean, am I saying Brooklyn's gonna do it? No.
but is it
Um,
possible?
but when you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie on the floor, to me anything is possible. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
the thing,
you,
and
you
At
know,
the
the
end,
games haven't been so drastically apart. The turnovers have been a big reason why the Nets haven't been able to just run away with games. The defense obviously too, but the defense has caused the turnovers, which have made us play very sloppy. You take away the turnovers, there's a chance the series has flipped around and at least like 2-1. We were talking about it before the show.
yeah,
There's a decent chance that happens.
yeah,
2-1
and
either which way.
it's
So
possible.
there's
Yeah.
a good possibility if you got KD and Kyrie showing up
my,
there's no reason it at least could
yeah,
possibly get to 6, maybe
yeah.
7, and then whatever happens in Game 7 happens.
No,
It's basketball.
you're absolutely right. And all season, this is a roster that has had so much turnover. You realize that they have a record 46 different starting lineups in the regular season. That's the only team in NBA history to make the playoffs with that many different starting lineups, right? So, I mean, KD missed a lot of time. Harden, missed time and then was traded. Kyrie is in and out of the lineup, playing in away games, but not at home. Then he finally comes. So, I mean, there's so much you can. There's almost been like 3 different mini seasons for the Nets in one season this year, just with how
Yeah.
much is going on with that roster. So chemistry is something that you could chalk it up to, right? These guys haven't played a lot of games together. Kevin Durant and Kyrie this season have only played, I want to say, maybe 15 to 20 games all year together, And with that being said, each game has come down to the wire. You feel me? With all of that being said, so I don't know. I think changes are going to be coming this offseason. They're going to have to they're going to have to booster up that bench. I think that they re-sign guys like Seth Curry. You're probably going to bring back Drummond. They have a big decision to make this offseason with Joe Harris. Are they going to re-sign him? That
He's already signed.
Oh, is he? I
He's
thought I
locked.
thought.
No, he's
Oh, he's
locked in.
locked in.
He signed it. I think this offseason or like
Okay,
somewhere
this
around that
past.
time.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he's locked in. But
So
it was
Joe
that
Harris
classic.
is
You sign a
locked in.
contract and then you either suck or you get hurt.
Yeah,
So it was that
yeah,
classic. So
yeah. So I mean, are they gonna make a head coaching change? We'll see.
they should. They should.
I think Nash also hasn't been given a fair shot. I feel like since he's been in Brooklyn as well, right? Because you got to think what happened last year. Okay, well, last year, fucking in the playoffs, everybody gets hurt. Kyrie goes down, James goes down. You know what I mean? So, and then this year, you have a part-time Kyrie, no chemistry. So it's been a lot on Steve Nash's plate. But at the end of the day, he's shown that he is a novice and that, there's levels to this. And as a coach, he just ain't on that level yet.
And the thing is, with
Um,
all the chemistry and all that, not playing together, this, that, third, it don't matter right now. It's the playoffs. All that goes out the window. Ain't no excuses. You guys are here.
no,
You
no,
guys are
you got
healthy. You guys are
you got
balling.
two bona fide stars on your team. Figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Figure it out. Cause ain't no reason why
Nobody feels bad for
as
you
as
either.
No,
Nobody feels
yeah.
bad for you.
it's crazy that in a season where LeBron James and company don't make the playoffs and they have a terrible year and they embarrass themselves, that the Nets are gonna be a bigger embarrassment if they lose this game. To go
Yeah.
get swept.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
not
It's
not to kind of crap on the Nets too much, but there's something to be said about you have all these excuses that go through the year, but they're not excuses that came out of nowhere. Kevin Durant's been hurt
no,
several
they're
times in his
valid.
career.
They're
Harden's been hurt
valid.
a couple times in his career. Kyrie has had episodes where he just sits out. Like these, none of these things are
Bro,
surprising.
this season, like
I know, but these
literally.
are all existing in the past. So like
Right,
them
right.
coming into this year and them happening, it's not like a whoa, this is great. It's like, oh yeah, these all make sense.
That's surprising.
Trading for
Like
Ben Simmons, what does that fix? And Ben Simmons not playing in this game is the biggest embarrassment, maybe in the sport. Ben Simmons not playing at all this season is, I think I saw somebody had a clip on it, but there's literally going to be a rule whenever the new CBA comes out that if you don't play in a year, you're not going to get played. You're not going to get paid, and we will go into a lockout over this rule if the players don't agree with it. Because guess what, Ben Simmons, Kawhi Leonard, these guys are the reason that teams lose their ability to be successful in the future because they just decide they don't want to play. And I'm all for players having a lot of power. I love players having power and like wanting to get traded and all that. But if you're not going to play because you just don't want to, there need to be repercussions more so than you just not getting paid.
listen, man, they still have not come out and said how this man hurt his back, dog.
And
My man hasn't played in 11 months. Okay, you haven't played since last June, dog. What were you doing hurting your back? Like I want to know.
You
I
know
wanna-
what he was doing that
I
he
want to
hurt
know
his
what
back. You know
I
what
want
he
to
was
know.
doing.
I want to know what my man was doing, bro. There's no
It
reason.
wasn't no playing basketball that hurt his back. I can tell you that
played
much.
basketball in 10 months. There's no reason why you got a back. They need to come out and say how he hurt his back, man.
And that's the thing
ridiculous.
Only
for you
valid
to just
excuse.
wake up
That's ridiculous.
morning after we
got a
go
back injury,
down
dog?
3-0,
A back
and then
injury?
you're gonna come to the training facility and just say, "Oh yeah, I'm feeling a little sore. I ain't trying to play." It's the playoffs.
But it's like
It don't matter if you sore unless you
not-
cannot walk. You can't do something
right.
unless you broke something. You tore something. Everybody's sore.
Ben Simmons,
Everybody.
you're a bozo.
You're a bozo.
You're a
No.
And
bozo, Ben
also,
Simmons.
this is on the NBA. Also, how in the world does this trade get okayed? How? Why was Ben Simmons ever moved?
I think it was just because
Look-
other players were like viable in the trade. Like it wasn't a 1-for-1, so there was like, well, I guess. It's the only way.
Then that's a whole nother thing. Like the trade is a whole
No.
package.
Now look, with all of this being said, I liked the deal for Brooklyn.
I did too. I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I think Brooklyn got, better with this trade. Not saying that Harden, wouldn't look. You got James Harden, Kyrie, and KD on the floor together. I would have picked them to win the chip this season, right? That's my mindset. But you substitute James Harden for Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, and Ben Simmons.
Lost
If
Paul
Ben
George.
Si- if Ben Simmons is on the floor, if Ben Simmons is healthy, this is not 3-0. This is not 3-0. Ben
That,
Simmons, a long defender who could defend all 5 positions and can get out in transition and get his teammates involved. Like that's huge, and he's going to be huge for them next season when he is healthy. Once he actually gets on the court,
If he wants to play.
yeah, this
if
is
he,
a completely different series if he plays, because now instead of you swarming KD like you have been, you swarming Kyrie like you have been. Now you got Ben Simmons to at least have them thinking about him for doing
no,
whatever,
and yeah,
whatever the hell he
and
gonna do.
and Ben Simmons isn't really a threat offensively, but what he
Unless
is
he's
he's a
driving to the
he's
paint.
he's a
Like he is
he's a facilitator. Like
exactly.
he's a guy that's gonna get Kyrie and KD and Patty Mills and other guys open shots, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what you're lacking when he's not on the floor. This Brooklyn team is short of playmakers, right? KD and Kyrie are your two, and that's it, right? Everyone
Yeah.
else is a role. They're a role guy, So the whole trade, I mean, let's see how this turns out in the off season and then headed in the next season.
Yeah. Nets got cooked. It's kind of, yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah.
All
All of that,
my boys, though,
everything
man.
that we just said kind of leads to the Nets just got embarrassed.
Enough said.
And,
Rio, I ain't hiding. I'm right here. I'm rocking
and
with my boys.
I'm happy you're rocking with them. I hope
I'm
he gets
rocking
one
with my
tonight,
boys.
so it's not
Listen.
the biggest failure, but it still is. So crazy that we have two just absolute implosions with the two best players on the planet this year, with
Yeah.
LeBron and KD. Granted, LeBron didn't implode himself, but yeah. But that's what we got for you guys, because this is a long episode already. So
I think this is our longest ever.
I'll give you guys a break. Thank you
I'm late
everybody
for
for
work.
listening. Everybody,
But
make sure you
KD.
like and subscribe if you don't already. Follow us at _the spectators.
Still the best player in basketball, baby.
He's not, and it's not even no. But thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you,
Dharnell,
tuned
for
in.
hopping on, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Dharnell.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Nico, for
Yes,
stopping
sir.
by. Nico, I'm not
Yeah.
sorry that you're late to work. And
Nah,
thank you, Plank, for making
this is worth it.
Yeah, bro.
I will be back. I will be back.
Nah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Appreciate
This
you
is
guys.
worth it. I'll be late anytime KD's not balling. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
I love
I'll be
that.
late for work.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Go Nets.
See you
All right,
guys.
y'all.